Good morning. Good morning. The presentation will cover an overview of the year, financial review, as well as operating performance. Our EBITDA is 32 billion, representing an increase of 37.4% from last year's EBITDA. We have achieved cost savings of 17.5 billion against a target of 13.4 billion and against cost savings of about 8.9 billion in the previous year. We have received the 23 billion rand equity from the shareholder. Cash generated from operating activities increased by 36.4% from the previous year to 37.2 billion. We have liquid assets in the bank as at the 31st of March 2016 of 38.7 billion, which is an increase of 123% from the previous year, but which largely is as a result of the equity injection by the shareholder. We have already secured 57% of the funding that we require for the 2016-2017 financial year. Operational performance, there has been no load shedding for 11 months to July 2016. Mr. Yelland, despite the fact that last year at about this time, you said there would be more load shedding. I was prepared to forgive you, Mr. Yelland, until you called the failure of a few substations and transformers load shedding a few weeks ago. In a normal society, in a normal democracy, I think people would have demanded the closure of EE publishers. As in fact I do. I think it's going to be my new campaign. Because experts who call problems at the distribution level, problems with a few transformers, load shedding, should not be believed at all. Generation plant performance improved in the second half of the year with EAF of 78%. Some experts believed that we would get to 81% after 10 years. We are already there. Medupi Unit 6 is in commercial operation as at the 23rd of August 2015, adding 720 megawatts of generation capacity. And Ngula Unit 4 is in commercial operation since 10 June 2016, adding 333 megawatts peaking capacity. Ngula Units 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been synchronized to the grid during this calendar year. We have had excellent transmission network performance, and we have connected 345 kilometers of lines have been installed, and 2,435 MVA transformers have been commissioned for transmission. 158,000 additional households were electrified during the year under review. Procurement from BBB compliant suppliers was 82%, exceeding our target of 80%. And procurement from black women-owned suppliers was 19% against the target of 12%. Revenue was 163 billion, up 10.6% from the previous year. EBITDA up 37.4%, as I said earlier. Net profit of 4.6 billion. This is the bottom line profit after tax. BPP savings, 17.5 billion. The increase in EBITDA was a result of increased revenue and cost containment, and the improved liquidity position is a result of the equity injection of 23 billion, as well as an improvement in our cash generated from operating activities at 37.2 billion. Interest cover has improved. Debt service cover ratio has improved. Debt equity has also improved, and gross debt to EBITDA ratio has also improved. The debt ratios have improved largely because the sovereign or the shareholder of Eskom has decided to or agreed to write off some of the shareholders' shareholder loans to convert them to equity, as well as the injection of 23 billion. This is the income statement. As I said earlier, revenue is up 11% to 163 billion. EBITDA 31 billion, up from 23 billion in the previous year, and profit for the year is 4.6 billion, up from 200 million in the previous year, a restated amount. International sales volumes, the volumes of electricity sold outside South Africa, grew by 12.2% because we had a surplus. We also had an increase in demand from our commercial customers. We had an increase in demand from the agricultural sector of 6.1%. We had an increase in demand from the mining sector of 2.1%. We had an increase in demand from the residential sector of 2.9% in sales volumes. There was a decline in demand from municipalities that buy electricity for us, a decline of 1.6%. There was a huge decline in demand for traction, 7.9%. This is largely due to Transnet's the coal line, as well as the iron ore line, Saldanha to Sishin and Emelo to Richards Bay. And both of those lines are our main customers for electricity. The reason there was a decline in demand in traction was as a result of the low commodity prices and the decrease in the exports of those commodities, coal and iron ore. There was also a decrease of 6.2% from our industrial customers. I think a lot of people have focused mainly on the decline in industrial customers, but there were other factors as well. Overall electricity volumes between 2013-14 and 14-15 decreased by 0.8%. However, you will see that from April 15, we had demand exceeding the supply of electricity. Supply is the green bar, and that we had, as a result of that, load shedding. That is the amount of electricity that was demanded, and that's the amount of electricity that was available. And that happened in May 2015, in June 2015 as well as in July 2015. But from August 2015, supply started outstripping demand. And we were able to carry that through to December 2015, when the difference between supply and demand in favor of supply was noticeably larger. And we maintained that through January, February, and in fact, in April, the reason demand is low in April, before we start any spectacular speculation, the reason demand was low in April is because of the holidays in the month of April, where electricity demand is very low. But we had available quite a lot of electricity, and in May and in June, supply outstripped demand by far. And on average, we were able to export about 2,000 megawatts per day. So, in short, during these 3 months here, and at the beginning of last financial year, which is April to June 2015, we were talking about a shortage of about 3,000 megawatts to overcome our supply issues. And now, we are in a position where we're able to meet demand and still export about 2,000 megawatts on a typical day. And so that is the position of comfort in which we are, and it is nowhere near the alarming rates that some people would have us believe. Primary energy costs, you'll see that 78% of our costs during the year was from Eskom generation. 18% of our costs came from the independent power producers, and 4% came from international purchases from Mozambique mainly. And however, on the production side, 92% of our costs were from Eskom generation. So 92% of production came from Eskom generation, which is mainly coal, 85% coal. And only 4% of production came from IPPs. What that picture tells you is that although IPPs give us 4% of production, they account for 18% of our costs. That is a fact that we cannot hide. I'm not expressing an opinion, I'm just expressing what the numbers are saying. This is our financial position, which has been strengthened. Our total assets increased from 557 billion or 558 billion to 660 billion due to increases in fixed assets as well as liquid assets and working capital. Our equity shows an increase of about 48%, largely due to the conversion of the shareholder loan to equity, as well as the 23 billion capital injection. Payment agreements have been signed with 60 municipalities, including 19 of the top 20 defaulting municipalities. Arrear debt by municipalities, including interest, increased from 5 billion to 6 billion, total arrear debt. And average Soweto collection levels improved from 16% to 18%, still very low. We're able to collect about 16% to 18% of the debt that's supposed to be collected in Soweto. We have a strategy for this, and that is prepaid. We are proceeding to install prepaid meters in Soweto. In the last financial year, we installed 17,527 postpaid meters were converted to prepaid meters in Soweto. This will help us to stop the increase of debt, but not deal with the arrears, and we will deal with the arrears later. Our focus at the moment is to convert the postpaid meters into prepaid meters. 5,992 smart meters were installed in Midrand and Sandton and will be converted to prepaid meters. And so that is our strategy to deal with the issue. At the end of March 2016, we had 10.8 billion that was over 60 days overdue. 5 billion came from large power users and municipalities, about 5 billion, and Soweto alone was 4.3 billion. We think that going forward as we install prepaid, because ideally what we would like to see is the whole country on prepaid, this slide will not become necessary in the future. It will also improve our financial position immensely. We have secured 57% of funding for the 2016-17 financial year, 10 billion from a domestic private placement. We have signed 19.8 billion with development finance institutions, export credit agencies, about 7.1 billion, and we did a restructuring of some swaps, 1.8 billion that we were able to get there. And so, so far, we have about 68.5 billion. As I said earlier, the energy availability factor improved tremendously in the last quarter of 2015-16. Significant improvement in EAF. We have seen a significant improvement of EAF to 78.6 for the first quarter of 2016-17, which is April, May, and June, this area here. The average EAF was 78.6. In the month of June, we had EAF at about 80%. And on a day, one of the days, we had EAF at about 86%. But just momentarily, which actually indicated to us what was possible. Unplanned breakdowns have reduced from 15.2% to 14.9% in 15-16. Planned maintenance increased from 9.9% in 14-15 to 13% in 15-16. We have reduced our reliance on diesel with a load factor in the last quarter well below 6%. A total of 13.6 million tons of coal was transported by rail, which is 1 million ton more than 2014-15. This project is extremely important for safety issues, and I will come back to that in a second. Since inception, a total of 3,392 megawatts of IPPs have been connected to the grid, with 2,145 megawatts of renewables. As a result of all of these factors, not one single factor alone, we have had no load shedding for almost 11 months to July 2016. Transmission achieved the best ever reported performance for system minutes lost. We had only one major incident, and the distribution network performance was within acceptable limits. Demand savings of 215 megawatts was achieved, and we had one environmental contravention. During the year under review to March 2016, we added 794 megawatts of capacity. Post-balance sheet, Unit 4 of Ingula was also commissioned, so that number from June last year to now, to the end of June 2016, is actually over 1,000 megawatts, with one unit of Medupi in commercial operation and 3 others that have been synchronized. We added 346 kilometers of transmission lines and 2,435 MVAs in substations. Progress on the new build program. Medupi Unit 6 is in commercial operation, and it has achieved an energy availability factor of 97.8% for June 2016. Energy availability of 97.84% for June 2016. It's not comparable to the energy availability that we get from wind and solar, which is at about 30%. Medupi Unit 5 is on track for commercial operation in the first half of 2018. Ingula Unit 4 is in commercial operation, adding 333 megawatts to peaking capacity. We expect one more unit to become commercially operational in 2016-17 during this financial year, and the remaining 2 units to go into commercial operation by 2017-18 in terms of the approved schedule, in terms of the agreed and approved schedule. But we expect perhaps we could do them earlier. Kusile Power Station continues to achieve the set milestones and well on the path for Unit 1 to come into commercial operation during 2018. Gorekwa and Ankerlag are in the process of being converted from diesel to gas, in fact to dual, so that they will have the capability to utilize gas. And we hope that during 2018, the conversion will be completed in 2017, and 2018, we will be able to operate Ankerlag and Gorekwa with gas and not diesel. Transmission lines, 346 kilometers have been installed, and substation capacity of 2,435 MVAs has been commissioned to support network strengthening. LTIR improved from 0.36 in 2014-15 to 0.29 in 2015-16. Employee contractor fatalities increased 4 employees. We had 4 fatalities of Eskom employees during the 2015-16 financial year, and 3 in the previous year. So it was an increase of 1, and we had 13 contractors fatalities against 7 from the previous year. Of these fatalities, 5 of them were car accidents, and most of the car accidents occurred as a result of collisions with trucks that are transporting coal. And we think that the migration from road to rail is now also a safety issue, because we are losing our colleagues to accidents with the trucks. Relative particulate emissions improved slightly, but specific water consumption increased to 1.44 liters per kilowatt hour against 1.38 in the previous year. Crime decreased by 28% because we specifically targeted high-value crimes, and so crime decreased by 28% in value. We had 229 arrests for various issues, from cable theft to fraud relating to the theft of prepaid meter coupons, and so on. Our security department had quite a number of successes. I think that we actually did not publicize as much as we should have, but there were some spectacular arrests during the year, and the cases are still running. We spent 103 million in corporate social investment, which was about 5.1% above our budget for the year. And this benefited 302,000 beneficiaries. Procurement from BEE compliant suppliers was above target. Procurement from black women-owned suppliers was also above target. And we have electrified 158,000 households during the financial year, taking the electrification of the Republic of South Africa to 90%. We have electrified 90% of all households in South Africa. There are provinces where 100% electrification has been reached. One of those provinces is the Free State, where I think we're left with about 1,000 houses to electrify before we can say the Free State is 100% electrified. The Gauteng province is also 100% electrified if we exclude the mushrooming informal settlements. So where people go and start an informal settlement that had not been in terms of the town planning arrangements of the province or of the municipalities. If we exclude those, we are actually at 100%. But we are looking at ways of assisting people in informal settlement with electricity, subject to approvals from the local authorities and the province. Northern Cape is also very close to 100% electrification. The place that is behind the rest of the country in terms of electrification is in fact the Eastern Cape. In particular, the Umzimkhulu area, which is on the border between KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape province. And we intend to pay specific attention to that area to bring it in line with the rest of the country. We think that it is possible for South Africa to achieve 100% electrification before 2023, which is the official target for universal access to electricity. Staff complement increased by to 47,978, mainly due to the employment of 130 learner artisans to strengthen the pipeline of employees coming into Eskom. 2.73% of employees are people with disabilities. Racial equity in senior management is at 61.1%, and the professional and middle management 71.7%. Gender equity in senior management at 28.1%. We have a target to increase the representation of women in our group EXCO to 50%. and are confident that that is possible. The Eskom Women Advancement Program will accelerate the development of female employees in the professional and middle management levels to create a pipeline for senior management appointments, senior management appointment of women in senior management positions in the future. In conclusion, Eskom is on a firm financial and operating footing. Our financial performance has improved. Our liquidity position is healthy. Generation performance has been stabilized with continued improvement expected. We do not anticipate any load shedding. The new build program is on target to meet delivery dates, and we are well placed to deliver on our journey towards excess capacity. We can never have too much electricity, because even if we in South Africa have excess capacity, it is still possible to sell our excess capacity across the border and to Southern Africa. Thank you very much.